the Nice Guys on Business podcast. The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebs, dickheads. They think they're righteous dudes. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community, welcome back. It is interview day with Doug today. Mr. Yay! Doug Sandler on the other side of the mic.
My favorite time. It's my favorite time other than all the other times.
All the other days of the week. Hey, I'm Strickland, and that's Doug on the other side of the mic. We are the Nice Guys on Business. And guess what, Doug? We actually, a couple of quick things. We're going to blow through the promise statement because we don't have time today. But we need you to sign up on iTunes. You need to subscribe on iTunes. We need help. Please subscribe on iTunes. Okay, that's enough of that begging. We have...
Wait, hold on. We did it. There was hardly any begging. You said that's enough of that begging.
Yeah,
normally,
right.
we could drone on for minutes. I mean, you gave that basically 12 seconds of droning on.
Okay, so Nice Guy community, we know that about 95% of you have subscribed on Overcast, which we love. We appreciate Overcast, but iTunes is the big fish, okay? And right now we appear to be a big fish in a very small pond of Overcast. We want to become a slightly bigger fish in a really big pond of iTunes. If you could subscribe on iTunes, we would appreciate it so much. That's Doug's fishy sound right there. We want to be a big fish, okay?
That was pretty good, Strick.
And we really need you to subscribe on iTunes. Even if you already subscribe on Overcast, just put it on auto download on iTunes. We really need help. We would so appreciate it.
Yeah. I would echo that sentiment very, very much. It seems silly. I mean, we're doing this so backwards. We have built this really great community within Overcast, and we love Overcast. We weren't supposed to do it that way. We were supposed to come flank with Overcast, but begin. The main focus was going to be iTunes. I don't know how did we get off kilter? I mean, our show is so perfectly well adjusted for.
It's just so hard to get noticed on iTunes, and that's what we need help with. And Nice Guy community, we know there are 1,500 to 1,800 of you out there that are downloading every episode, which we can't tell you how much we appreciate. But you're doing it on Overcast, and if even a third of you guys would also sign up on iTunes, gosh, it would help so much and would get us noticed on iTunes.
The chances are good that one of you is driving a Tesla also.
Ooh, if any of our listeners are driving a Tesla, please sign up. Take a picture. God, I really want a Tesla Type S so bad.
I know.
I love that car.
Well, you know that a vast majority of our listeners are actually in San Francisco.
Oh, I know, that's crazy, right? I mean, we have a large percentage of San Francisco people. Maybe we'll do like a mastermind in San Francisco. I've never.
That would be ridiculously, wonderfully awesome. I think we should actually do that. When I go out to Seattle in January to talk to my friends at the National Association for Catering and Events, we should just pop down there to San Francisco. It's not that far. Will you meet me there?
I love that plan. I'm going to go and be your assistant in Seattle, and then we'll go to San Francisco together. Maybe think about a mastermind.
Oh my gosh, that would be terrific. We got to do that.
If we have listeners in San Francisco and this interests you, please hit us up at DJ Doug at Nice Guy on Biz, or hit us up even better on the Nice Guy community so we can see who's out there and who's interested. We would love that.
Hey, you know who's in San Francisco?
Who?
I think Mar is in San Francisco.
No, she's in England.
No. I think Mar and Prosh. I think they are in. I think both of them are in San Francisco.
Could be. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Hey, Mar. If I know you're listening. I know you. I can see you, Mar. Mar, do me a favor. Could you just tweet me at DJ Doug? Let me know where you are. Would this be a good idea? January, thinking about San Francisco. Okay, we've gotten
So we have an interview today with Craig Ballantyne, but before we get to the interview, yes, we're going to put it off even a little bit more. We put out a request on our Nice Guy community for, hey, topics. We want to hear about topics. And instead of waiting until like next week or the week after to like really long talk, we want to give you guys immediate feedback because we know everybody wants instant gratification. So one of the questions we got, how about starting a company where employees in that field will be hard to find because they're already in high demand? And how would you go about finding and hiring qualified people? That suggestion came in from Derek Chisholm. Interesting.
That is an interesting question. Not one that I would say. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I first brought it up to you, Doug, and you were like, I don't know what I'd talk about that. But it's so interesting because we've had we always talk about do what you love, find your passion, right? Well, what if your passion is something like computer programming, right? And computer programmers are in high demand.
Very high demand.
And maybe it is a company that you're a startup, but you can't do it yourself. You got to hire people. Well, you're not going to find inexpensive computer programmers anywhere. You're not going to find good ones, right? Well, so how would you, when you got a high demand, but this is what you love, right? You want to start this business because you don't want to go cleaning floors or do some franchise thing. It's about passion, right? So it's a great question. A couple of suggestions that I would make. First of all, is this somebody that you could hire remotely? Because what is really interesting is a lot of high demand is specific geographically. Great example. I have somebody on my team, report and data analyst. He lives in the Seattle, Washington area, right? And he was talking about job security, and I was assuring him that, yes, his job is secure. He does a great job. Nothing's wrong because he's getting ready to move, right? The reason I found out later that he was worried about it was he gets 3 to 4 calls a week, every single week, from headhunters trying to hire him from Microsoft.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. I've never had Microsoft call me, right? He is in Seattle. He is in the area. And basically he said, hey, look, if there was any possibility that I might lose this position, I want to stay here because I know I can get a job with Microsoft tomorrow, right? Like, headhunters are calling me constantly. So
aside from computer programming, what other, do you have any idea of what other fields are in such high demand right now?
Boy, that is a very interesting question.
I mean, I can see definitely the idea of
cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is
that's probably a good one
right
too,
now, right?
So, do you think it's all the tech field then?
Yeah, a lot of it. I can't think of anything that's non-techie that would be in high demand. Although I'd love to get some feedback on the Nice Guy community on Facebook and hear if there's anything else they can think of, or if anybody else has other ideas of how would you go about finding or hiring employees. Qualified people, because we've talked about this 100 times. You don't want to find the cheapest guy. No. You want to find the right guy or girl. You want to find the right person that is a good fit for your company, that has the passion for it, and you don't always have a lot of money up front. So if it's something that's in high demand, I would totally go outside of your geographic area if you can. You might even look to, virtual assistants. You get a VA from India, and it's very hit or miss. There are definitely a lot of cheap ones out there, but there are a lot of...
How about Fiverr? Fiverr would be a good... No.
Well, it's interesting. You just never know, because I'm sure there's a lot of misses out there, right? But let's say that you go to find a cybersecurity person or a programmer, and you go out to what is the company that does the virtual assistants? Oh my gosh, I've forgotten. There's a big one where basically thousands and thousands of people you can hire virtual assistants. Some of them you're hiring a company, others you're hiring a specific person, but a lot of them they're as cheap as $10, $15, $18 an hour, even for really highly technical qualified stuff. But you do it on an ad hoc basis. So you could start off by saying, hey, I'm going to hire you for this job or that job and see how they do. And if they don't do well, then you haven't made the obligation.
Well, the whole idea behind someone like a virtual assistant is they're very in demand. I mean, the good ones, I'm assuming, are very challenging to find a way in to get to contract with a specific company if they're very in demand. Very hard. You may not need somebody to fill a complete position, just a partial position.
You see, now that's another great call, because if it's something that's in high demand, presumably they're going to be very expensive. So is it an option to find somebody part-time? Now, it's very hard to say, hey, can you commit to me 20 hours a week? No, I'm going to say I can't make a living at that, right? I got to have 40 hours. Well, a virtual assistant doesn't have that restriction. That's actually a good call.
Yeah, maybe a lot of people aren't looking for a full-time job. They might have kids. They might be, in transition from one job to the other. They may be retired. There's a bunch of reasons why they don't want a full-time job. VAs might be the way to go. Yeah. So I like the idea of trying to, and the telecommuting thing is the working remotely, telecommuting, VAs. What other avenues do you think we would have?
Huge. It's great stuff. I don't know, but Derek, it was a great question. It was very not a mainstream question. That's what I liked about it. It's not one I had ever thought of before, but it's a very interesting question. We'd love to get more feedback on the Facebook community. NiceShortcut.com if you haven't signed up yet. Let us know what your thoughts on that. If you have any other great ideas, or if you have other questions that you would love to have us discuss. We really should get to our interview today, Mr. Craig.
Oh, we have an
Ballantyne.
interview today.
Craig, you interviewed Craig, and we've kind of gone off on the from crippling anxiety to motivational speaker. I mean, Craig, this is a great story right here.
Just imagine waking up and having the perfect day. What would your perfect day be? I mean, how would your life be different if you were in control of everything that you needed to be in control of in your life? Your finances, you were in control of the opportunities that were finding themselves, their ways to you. Craig goes from this guy that was just crippled by anxiety and stress and tension in his life to developing a plan. He wrote a book called The Perfect Day Formula, How to Own the Day and Control Your Life. And he really is a guy that as I was talking to him, I could see how passionate he is about his message, but I can also see how amazing it could be, the idea of just waking up to a perfect day. Why can't every day be like this? Why can't I, control the things in my life that I'm just not able to, to gain control over?
A couple of the key hit points I think that you're going to get into, like the T's about, is we all gravitate to our comfort zone. Like we do what's easy. We become so productive at all the wrong things, because we become productive at things that are easy. Well, it's not necessarily the right thing to do. And the last one that I think is huge, find a professional accountability partner, people who will set the bar high for you and make you feel uncomfortable. In other words, push you along, which, Doug, I am your biggest cheerleader, but there are times where I push you too. And, you mention the speaking thing to me, but, you don't push me that much, which, I'm okay with, but maybe you need to. I don't know.
Oh, man, you're going to blame it on me now.
No, huh? I need to listen to this podcast. Maybe I need to get his book and get focused myself. Now, I appreciate everything you do for me. I just know I need to push myself a little bit more. But
no, I agree with you.
It's all good stuff. It's a great interview.
All right, so let's get to our interview, Craig Ballantyne, and he is here, and then and that's it. Are we ready to go?
Here, Doug, take it away. Let's get to the interview with Craig Ballantyne.
I love this guitar part. Today's guest is Craig Ballantyne. Craig is the author of The Perfect Day Formula, How to Own the Day and Control Your Life. He is an expert in personal fitness, and in my research, also an expert in time management, self-improvement, and productivity. Seems like such an insignificant part of your life, but I felt sorry for him, and I thought we needed to have a boost in his self-esteem by showing him that even a slouch like me can be successful. So, Craig, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Well, thank you very much, Doug. That's very nice of you.
I was so excited when I think that your publicist or somebody in your camp reached out to me and asked if you could be on the show, and I was like, yeah. I mean, I've been trying to get to you already, and your folks do a great job of guarding you, but also a great job of marketing you as well.
Well, I'm really excited to speak to your audience. It's very similar to the audience I speak to on a regular basis. I just love helping people who want to have more success and get more done and still get home on time for dinner.
No, I love that, and the getting on time home for dinner is always a critical thing too. Maybe similar to you, maybe not, but I'm not a huge reader. And sometimes I feel as though when I'm reading, life is kind of passing me by while I'm reading the pages in the book. And I like where you were heading when you were referring, I think it was in one of your pieces of marketing material, when you say things like, all you've done potentially in reading is wasted 10 to 15 hours of your free time reading each of these books and daydreaming about the easy life that you should be living. You were referring to directly, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I've been known to be wrong many times. You were referring directly to the 4-hour work week and Awaken the Giant Within. I mean, Tim Ferriss and Anthony Robbins. So help me back up that statement, because I really want to back that statement up too.
Well, it comes down to this. I mean, we've been told so many things about productivity. We've been made into these productivity experts, but we become so productive at the wrong things. And so we get, too narrowly focused on, cutting out some of the things in our lives that actually really matter to us. And then just, becoming these worker bees and outsourcing, trying to find the cheapest outsourcing in life and trying to find the, 15 different apps that will save us 30 seconds a day. And all of that is so insignificant when it comes down to what really matters and the activities that we can do to actually make a big movement in our life.
All right. Well, and okay, so that brings us to a great point then. The Nice Guy community, the listeners to this podcast, they love shortcuts. And I'm not saying shortcuts as in ways to get around having to do the work, but you allude to a few shortcuts that people can take to success in some of your marketing materials. Can you slice off just a piece and share that with our community?
Yeah, I'd love to give you the most important one. And so that is simply slowing down to speed up. And so what that means is I want everyone listening tomorrow to spend 15 minutes, preferably first thing in the morning before anybody else in their house is up, sitting at their kitchen table with pen and paper and working on either their number one problem in life to solve it or their number one opportunity in life to take advantage of it. And they're going to do that 6 days a week. And they're going to do that every week. And that's 6 extra hours a month, 72 hours a year, focused on your number one problem or opportunity in clear, quiet thinking, being proactive. And that is what's missing from most people's lives. We wake up, most people, and we go to our phones and we're in our email and we're responding all day and we're reactive all day. And that is where people struggle with that reactive approach to life. But when they're proactive and they get up a little bit early and they sit down and they think and they plan and prepare, that's when the magic happens. And so that's what I want people to understand, that it's not about downloading the latest app to be more productive. It's about moving away from all the apps in the first place and using the number one app, which is your mind and your thinking, to have success.
All right, but Craig, and again, I'm just going to play the contrarian for just a moment, just because, we've been hit out of left field for so many different angles. Some of them, we just had a guest on the show, Lauren Shorter, who talked about his program is called The Lazy Guru. And very similar to you, it is slow down to speed up. You need to drop back a little bit, although his approach might be considerably different than yours, whether you know it or not. Regardless, it's fine. But we spend so much time focused on knowing, let's say, what our life's goal is and knowing what the biggest problems that we're trying to resolve. There's a difference between knowing what they are, writing them down, spending that 15 minutes working on our biggest problem, and then actually taking action. And the problem is, at least from my perspective, when I sit down and try to do this every day, I get lost in I know what my problem is. I just don't know how to get there, though. So can you shed some light on maybe making the link between your great advice, which it is great advice, and actually making it happen, making shit get done?
Well, I mean, it really is part and parcel of the same thing. So let's take a concrete example. So let's say somebody listening is in $3,000 worth of credit card debt. And so the number one thing they need to do first thing tomorrow is get up and sit down at the kitchen table and identify all the ways so they can cut expenses and then all the ways they can increase income, and then how they can transfer their credit card debt to a lower interest credit card debt. Now they have this all planned out. And now it's time to go and take action on that. And it's time to clear the schedule of all the other junk that gets in the way. No more social media, no more this, that, the other thing. You need to eliminate the distractions that allow you to go and take the action on the work. And it really comes down to, first of all, identifying, okay, these are the things that matter. These are the things that are not going to matter in 10 years, 10 months, 10 weeks, or even 10 days from now, so I'm not going to do them. And it comes down to having the discipline to do them. And the rituals and routines, more importantly, so that you stay out of trouble, you stay off the social media, and so that you have that time to work on your action steps, which is so important. So it's a planning and preparation, but then doing it. And also a missing link in most people's lives is having the accountability partner.
Boom. Yep, exactly. I was just about to ask you about the accountability partner. Continue your thought process. I love this.
Right. So I have 5 pillars of success, and the 5 pillars are better planning and preparation, which we've done. And the second pillar is professional accountability. And that's having a coach or mentor who gives you expert advice to help you make the right decisions and do the right things, and also who will not take any excuses from you. And so these are the people that you need in your life who will set the bar high for you and not let you lower your standards. And these people are going to make your life uncomfortable, but they are going to make your life 100 times better than it is right now. I have 3 of these people in my life, and some of the conversations I have with them are very difficult. They leave me with that little anxiety before the conversation, knowing that they're going to be questioning my behavior, but they're only doing it because they love me and care about me. And it's something that everybody needs. We all need that, stern but loving parent in our life to make sure that we're getting the stuff done that really matters.
About 3 or 4 years ago, and the Nice Guy community knows this, but just to kind of bring you up to speed, I went through this reinvention process of trying to figure out what the next turn in my life was going to be, which is when professional speaking, a book and podcast and a whole bunch of things came into my life. You're 100% right. Without the people in my life, for my speaking world, Jane Atkinson, for my book world, Rob Jollis, for my podcasting life, Strickland Bonner, without those 3 people in my life, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish anywhere near, because I can see some of the goals that I've set for myself personally and professionally that I don't have an accountability coach for, or somebody that's a mentor or right there with me. And I screw up, and not in a bad way, but I just don't stay as focused. You're 100% right. Does this have something to do with, talk to me about your definition of a high achiever? I know that sometimes high achievers try to achieve, is it too much in life, and they sometimes fall flat because of this?
I think it's okay to say that a high achiever is just never truly satisfied with what they're doing and what they're accomplishing right now. And that's not a bad thing. Like Usain Bolt, I just went to the Olympics and saw Usain Bolt run the 100-meter dash. And I mean, this guy was never satisfied. He was always improving. And we all know that we are imperfect individuals. We're imperfect human beings. We can always improve no matter what we want to improve. We should always be looking at ways that we can do so. And so, there's going to be really those types of people who are going to say, well, I can't do that, so I'm not even going to try. Mm-hmm. And there's other people who are going to say, well, I'll never be the best in the world at this, but I can always get a little bit better. And so it's that Kaizen, constant, never-ending improvement approach to life, which is what a high achiever has. And it doesn't matter what they're focusing on, whether they're focusing on their health, their wealth, their social self, their personal enrichment, their family, whatever it is, they always know that they can be doing better, and they hold themselves to that high standard. And I think that is another aspect of the high achiever, that there's a high standard that they must live up to. They know that inside of them, they are a better person than what they might be doing right now. And so they try and do the best they can. And that's what the high achiever is all about.
Craig's book is called The Perfect Day Formula. It's available on Amazon, in addition to probably many other sites, and we'll make sure we put links in the show notes for it. Just looking at some of the reviews, he's got over 70 very, very positive 5-star reviews about the book. The book overall is rated 5 stars. It's available in Kindle, hardcover, and also on Audible. Did you do the Audible, or did somebody else do it for you?
Somebody else did it for me, Doug, and I will say that is the one regret. I wish I would have done it myself. But just a quick note about the reviews is it's funny to read. Most of them are 5-star reviews, but there are some that aren't. And it's very interesting to read the ones that aren't and the excuses that are made by the individuals that are leaving the 3-star reviews and saying, oh, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. And then you have somebody who has a 5-star review who has more kids, more responsibilities, and they've read the book and they've looked at it like the high achiever who said, it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to go and do this, and this book will work for me, and it has worked for me, and here's how, versus the person who discounts the advice before they even try it. And that, Doug, is probably a really even better definition of the high achiever than the one I gave. The person who doesn't discount the advice when they haven't even tried it.
Well, can I just deliver some information to you, very similar to how I look, because very similar to you, very, very disciplined, focused. When I wrote my book, I said, I'm going to write a book for everybody, and it's just going to be, it's going to be great. And, I got like 100 5-star reviews, and then I get 1 or 2 that were like less than the 5-star. And I think I even got one that was 2-star. So I ended up writing, because you can contact the person that made the review. And I ended up saying, hey, listen, I'm sorry I disappointed you. I'm happy to refund your money. I wasn't going to make any excuses for the book, but apparently it wasn't for him. Very similar to, and I don't want to focus on any non-5-star review for you, but 100% right. I'm just looking at the review and reading it. It's like, this obviously is a person that just, I'm not in control of my own schedule, and I'm not my own professional person. And, like, this is bullshit. I mean, just come on. The reality of life is we are all in charge of our own behavior. And if you can't get in control of your life, you're letting somebody else control it. And that will lead you down a false path. It'll lead you down somebody else's goals, not yours.
Right. It really is simply just the mindset that somebody takes. And I think it's the mindset that sets apart those that succeed and those that struggle.
Tell me for a moment about some of the things that might challenge you, because when I read a book like this and I read the reviews and I read, your the litany of the things that you've been able to accomplish in life, I know that you have arrived here, but you've arrived here through some personal struggle that you've also had to overcome in order to get here. So what are the things that have been challenging or maybe continue to be challenging for you personally in achieving this level of success?
Right. It's a great question, Doug. And it really is the struggles that make us stronger. And so for me, this entire book came out of a period of my life when I was dealing with crippling anxiety. And so it really was crippling. I mean, it was something that most people don't experience. It was a level of panic attack that sent me to the hospital 2 times. Physically, I was going through symptoms for 6 weeks straight of a tight chest, pounding heart rate, couldn't breathe properly, tingles from the top of my head down to the end of my fingertips, classic signs of a heart attack. And those were 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
And I still deal with anxiety a little bit. I'm kind of wound up a little more than most people.
You're tight. You're tight.
Yeah. But it's a matter of dealing with the things. And so when I was going through those anxiety attacks, I took the approach of, I got to get rid of this because it really is difficult to deal with. And so I took the approach of the people who've left the 5-star reviews, who have said, I'm really busy, but I'm going to make this work. And so I turned over every rock in my life to try and overcome the anxiety, from yoga, qigong, meditation, everything that I did, everything I could possibly do, every person I could possibly talk to, I did to get rid of it. And that's the approach you have to take in life. And today I don't deal with those physical symptoms because I know how to cut them off before they even get started. So I know, I even had to go and relearn how to breathe properly to reduce the anxiety and stress. And a lot of people actually don't know how to breathe properly. They breathe in a way that actually makes them more anxious. And so it's just little stuff like that I still struggle with, but I have these systems in place that allow me to improve, overcome, adapt, and be flexible and resilient so that I can continue to move ahead and help more people.
Yeah, anxiety is crippling, and very similar to you. I suffer from anxiety also, and again, very similar to you. When it first came into my life, just a short time ago, I was to the point where I just said, I can't exist like this. I have to find another way. I have a life to live. I can't let this thing be the thing that defines me. I need to figure out not what things happened in my life to create this in my past. Sometimes you just have an overactive, whatever it is, amygdala or whatever the hell it is in your brain that is firing off so frequently. You just have to figure things out. And very similar to you, you just have to, I went and I uncovered all those rocks to figure out what it is that would be the aid for me. And in my case, it was meditation, and not even a lot of meditation. It was just more understanding what my body is going through and how to cope with it. How do you though convince, and I guess your job is not to convince, your job is to provide the vehicle when somebody understands that they need to take that next movement, that next action. But how is it, if you were to put yourself in the position of that person, how would you convince yourself that you got to get off the dime in order to make stuff happen in your life? It's just not going to happen. How do you make that? How do people understand that that's what they need to do?
Well, I think a really valuable tool here, Doug, is storytelling. And so what you and I are doing is we're telling the stories of our lives so that people out there are listening and going, yeah, I share this, and this, and, if he can do it, then I can do it. And that's really what it's all about. And so when I meet somebody who has 2 kids and who says, I'm really busy, I've got a job, a boss that makes a lot of demands, and I got 2 kids, and I got this and this hobby and these things going on in my life, I say, well, I understand. I hear what you're saying. You are very busy, and I think you're doing great work. I want to introduce you to this person who has 3 kids and these additional responsibilities and how they overcame their struggles in the past. And you just show them that, hey, here's somebody who has been in your situation, perhaps even in a worse situation, shares a lot of affinity with you, has the same sort of job or the same sort of family background, and, is from the same area as you. And the more that they can see themselves like this individual, the more that they're going to say, well, you know what, if that person can do it, I can do it too. And if we take a look at one of the most successful women in the world in both entertainment and business, we see Oprah Winfrey, and we see one of the reasons I believe that she is so successful is that she has shared all of the struggles in her life. Mm-hmm. And that has allowed everyone who has become a fan of hers to say, well, listen, if she can do that coming from, a background of abuse, of, a background of, racism, of a background of, not having a lot growing up, I mean, she's overcome all of these hurdles. And if someone from a person of circumstances worse off than me right now can do it, then I can do it too. And so it really comes down, Doug, to showing examples and showing stories and helping people understand that it is possible to make these changes no matter what circumstances they're in.
I love the sharing of the human element also. I don't know if you get into that part in your book. Do you go through some of your journey?
I do go through some of it. Yeah. I mean, I try and be as clear and open about it as possible. I don't have any shame or regret in the fact that I've dealt with the anxiety in the past. I think it's much more important for me to go out and share that with the world and help one person, than it is to hold that back. And what I found, Doug, is I've been called in my other business, in the fitness business, I've been called all types of names because of my stance on specific types of training, that I guess I've had this, resistance built up that I don't care if anybody, makes fun of me because, I have anxiety or because I'm wound up or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. And so I think a lot of people that struggle or hesitate to share just haven't received any of that feedback of, when they hear from somebody who's well regarded and they get a personal email from somebody saying, hey, I struggle with anxiety too. I don't want to tell anyone, but thank you for sharing. That outweighs 1,000 critical comments. And so that's why you have to go and do that for people.
Yeah. And you won't get any pushback from me, as the nice guy community would be able to attest for me.
Right.
My entire life is on this show, and I broadcast for all to be able to hear. And I remember the night that I had suffered my first anxiety attack, I had no idea what was going on. Whenever anybody hit me with an anxiety issue, I always, in my mind, cause I am one of those guys that I'm in a good mood all the time and I'm just always up. And I would always think, just get over it. Just put yourself in a different mindset, never realizing how debilitating, how lost, how empty, how you just don't feel like you could step in front of the subway car and have it hit you and you find, oh, thank God I'm out of this pain. And my entire life has been laid out. So I love the fact that you're able to share that, because as you just said, if you can help one person, and so many people have reached out to me just on that one blog and that one podcast alone that I had written on my anxiety, saying, man, this is great. I appreciate you sharing that, because now I feel like I can get some help. And I got help because somebody else had shared with me their story too. And I really had no idea, what it was all about. So, hats off to you for being able to share and not feel there's no shame in it. It's just the reality of life, Yeah,
absolutely. It truly is a black box, because you can't explain it to somebody else. And the thing is, you can't explain it to yourself. It's not like having a broken arm where you can say, okay, here's what happened. Here's how it feels. And most people can go, oh yeah, I know how that happened and I know how it feels. The anxiety is something that is indescribable to most people. And so, but I'm like you, I had my breakthroughs from other people's stories. And so that is the power of sharing, whether it's about anxiety or whether it's about, bankruptcy or whatever somebody listening has gone through. When you share your story, you help people, and that's the importance of doing it.
No, I completely agree. Why do you think, as a race, the human race, we fall into like these different categories? Like I just said earlier, I had this guy Lawrence Shorter on the show, and he is an author of this program called this approach called the Lazy Guru. It's just incredible how we all look at life through our own set of filters, and we can all focus on different things. Do you think we all gravitate I know this is the reality of it, we all gravitate towards our comfort zone. Is this approach that you have, in terms of the perfect day formula, is it something that you really feel in your heart of hearts that we can all genuinely apply, or is it more for a certain personality type?
No, I mean, I think there are certainly elements of it that everyone can apply. And I don't want anyone listening to this, they may have gotten the impression that, it's about getting up early in the morning. It's not about,
Lost me on that one.
There's a 5 a.m. club thing going around these days. And I don't think that that's a good idea for many, many people. Whenever someone writes an email to me and says, hey, I went from getting up at 7 o'clock to getting up at, 5 o'clock in the morning, I think, well, that's nice, but it is not going to last. And so I want people to understand that my book is not about being the early bird. It is about taking control of your life and implementing systems so that you focus on things that matter, because my book does have a lot of structure building in it, Doug, but the reason why it does is to give people more freedom in life. Mm-hmm. So the book is about creating structure to have more freedom. And that's a paradox to most people. Most people just want to have the freedom aspect. But if we have too much freedom, we just end up in a lot of trouble. And there's an author named Paulo Coelho who wrote The Alchemist, and he has a quote that says, discipline and freedom are not mutually exclusive, but mutually dependent, because without discipline, we would descend into chaos. Mm-hmm. And here's a real world example of that. Traffic lights. Imagine we didn't have traffic lights. Yeah. We would be in complete and utter chaos. You'd never get to where you wanted to go safely. You would be injured. You'd be dead. There'd be cars piled all over the streets. Traffic lights are a bit of structure that allow us to have freedom in our life. And that's what I'm helping people do in the book, is just put the structure into place so that they can go and live an amazing life, whether they want to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning or not. It doesn't matter to me what they choose to do. I just want to help them do it better.
Yeah, it is rather interesting. You make a valid point. My summers, which tend to be a little bit slower than the rest of my year, I'm an entertainer throughout the entire year, but summertime very much comes to a halt. And so I find I'm my least productive when I'm my least busy. I know that doesn't make sense, but it kind of makes sense, because I feel like I have too much time. I almost want less time. I want to be more structured. So the structure for me, and I'm sure that many in the Nice Guy community can relate to this, when you're busy, you find that you're much more productive, and not just because of your busyness, but because you have some structure in your day.
Right, because you have to make those minutes matter. But when you have an endless number of minutes, you don't have to make them matter as much. And so that's why we waste the time, we procrastinate, and we just aren't in that mode of making it matter.
Well, Craig's book is called The Perfect Day Formula, How to Own the Day and Control Your Life. I really am. It's been an incredibly busy summer in terms of podcast guests and interviews, and I have this stack of books, yours being one of them, sitting on my desk. I'm like, I know I'm going to get to this. Unfortunately, it ran away from me. I didn't have a chance to get to it before I got you on the show, but I knew that having you on the show was going to motivate me to want to read it even more. So, but the reviews are all very, very positive. Take a look over at Amazon, The Perfect Day Formula, again, by Craig Ballantyne. Craig, any final words of wisdom that you can impart to the Nice Guy community as they go about their day to day?
Well, first of all, I'll say it's a very short book, so people should be able to get done in 90 minutes. So it won't take you too long there, Doug. And then the last thing that I'll say is that life is really all about people and experiences. And so the Perfect Day Formula allows you to spend more time with the people that matter, doing the experiences that matter, because that's what we're going to have at the end of our lives. It's not about money and stuff. It's about the people and the experiences. So hopefully this helps.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. All the information and ways to get the Craig's book and his website will be right on our show notes. So make sure you click on the cover art. After you recommend the show, then you can go ahead and feel free to contact Craig. Craig, thanks so much for being a part of the Nice Guy community. Nice guys, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to our guest, Craig Ballantyne. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Doug.
Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Interviews every Tuesday and Friday. Fill up your week with the Nice Guys. Check out the big brain on Doug.